G'day, how you going? What do you know? Don't strike a light. G'day, and how you going? Just say g'day, and you'll be right.
Welcome to the Midweek End Times News and Trends briefing as we share major events of what is happening around the world as it relates to Bible prophecy. Today's date is Wednesday, August 24th, 2016. The first item to bring up was probably the number one item that I can recall in the years that I've been doing these updates that people emailed me or text me this particular piece of information. And it was about how Germany is telling people to stockpile food and water in case of attacks. This came out of Ynet News on Sunday. For the first time since the end of the Cold War, the German government plans to tell citizens to stockpile food and water in case of an attack or catastrophe. So Germany is currently on high alert after two Islamic attacks and shooting rampage by a mentally unstable teenager last month. Berlin announced measures earlier this month to spend considerably more on its police and security forces to create a special unit to counter cybercrime and terrorism. The population will be obliged to hold an individual supply for of food for 10 days. The newspaper quoted the government's concept for civil defense, which has been prepared by the Interior Ministry, as saying. And I think it's just wise to just have several weeks of food on hand anyway. But there's something about this particular component. One, it seems like they're also putting fear within people. Secondly, it seems like the government is there to also control the people. And also, thirdly, because of the real threat of Islamic terrorism, thanks to Chancellor Merkel for opening the doors to Germany, to these refugees that they allowed into their country. So we'll just have to wait and see how this whole story plays itself out. Dealing with Israel, this came out of Yahoo News, talking about how Gaza militant rockets hit Israel, and Israel responds with airstrikes and shells. This came out of Reuters. Also, this particular report, how the Palestinian militants in the Gaza Strip launched a rocket that landed on the border of Israel in the town of Sardot on Sunday. And Israeli aircraft and tanks responded by shelling the Gaza town of Bet Hanoun, the army and police said. The rockets caused no injuries or damage to the town where it landed in a residential area, said the police. And so the Israeli shelled during an initial retaliation damaged the town water tower, and there was no casualties, according to the local residents. The multiple airstrikes later that evening hit 30 different sites in the Gaza Strip belonging to Hamas and the smaller Islamic Jihad and other militants group, and two other people were lightly hurt, according to Gaza health officials. The Israeli military said aircraft and attack targets in the North Gaza Strip, and added that since the beginning of the year, 14 Gaza strikes had hit Israel. Also, speaking of Israel, Israeli shells Syria after a stray mortar crosses into its territory. This is almost a weekly occurrence, seeing these sort of type of reports. This came out of the Reuters website as well. How the Israeli Defense Force said that it had attacked a Syrian army launch site near the Israeli border on the Golan Heights after a Syrian mortar landed inside of Israel's territory. The initial incident produced no casualties or damage, according to the Israeli media. Israel believes that the mortar, which landed next to a minefield, was not aimed at its land, but nonetheless dispatched aircraft to neutralize the source of firing. In accordance with its policy, Israel holds Damascus responsible for any overspill from the internal conflict and considers any rockets that breach the border a direct attack. So as we see on a weekly and a daily basis, the attacks upon Israel, not only anti-Semitism that's increasing all over the world, but you're getting these attacks from the countries north of Israel with Lebanon and Hamas, Hezbollah, up there, Hamas in the south, and of course the things going on within Syria to the east of them. According to Ynet News, also speaking of Israel, Egyptian president said Russian President Vladimir Putin ready to host direct talks between Benjamin Netanyahu and also the Palestinian chairman Mahmoud Abbas. And this came out of Ynet News that Egyptian President al-Sisi said during an interview with a number of journalists in Egypt on Sunday that Vladimir Putin informed him that he's ready to host direct talks between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian Authority Chairman Abbas. So the president mentioned that Israel's convictions of peace are strengthening, and also he invited everybody to take part of a moving the peace process forward, which he said was the key to stability in the region. Also, in dealing with things in the region, you got to deal with Turkey. In Turkey, they're having quite a few suicide bombing attacks. This one report came out of the BBC on Sunday, where a Turkish wedding suicide bomber was a child aged of 12 to 14. And again, as we've mentioned before, that the ISIS is trying to recruit these young kids to be the suicide bombers. This would be one of those cases in point, which is so sad to see these kids destroyed of a good life to join this sort of life of destruction. But the suicide bombing, which killed 51 people in Turkey, in the city there, that was carried out by this 12 to 14-year-old, according to the Turkish president, Erdogan. He called the attack, blaming ISIS was behind the attack, which targeted this wedding party, and this was in a town just outside close to the Syrian border. It was known in this particular town to have several different ISIS cells in it. And so the bomb wounded 69 other people, and 17 of them are seriously wounded. The bomber targeted the wedding guests as they were dancing in the streets. What a sad day for those people. Also, speaking of Turkey, Erdogan's going to visit Tehran in the next day or so. So it's interesting. I think they're trying to continue to build relationships, but it's also one of those pieces of the puzzle that we see with the whole Ezekiel 38 and 39 preparation. He just met with Russia, President Vladimir Putin the other week. So it seems like they're putting all their alliances and putting these pieces together. Also, speaking of Iran, expanding its terror network into Latin America, according to the report out of Free Beacon. This report that said that Iran is solidifying its foothold in Latin America, sparking concerns among U.S. officials that Islamic Republic will enlist these regional allies to push a terror attack against the U.S., according to the conversations with congressional sources. The Iran Foreign Minister Javadi said that the diplomatic tour through the Latin America, through key countries there, known for hostility toward the U.S., including Cuba and Venezuela and other countries believed to be providing shelter to Iranian terrorist proxies such as Hezbollah. In an Iranian ally, Russia boosted its spy operation in the region. Sources have raised concerns about the rogue nations concerning that they're working together to foster anti-U.S. unrest. Safari's trip through the region also raised a lot of red flags among the senior congressional sources familiar with the region. For example, Safari took aim at the U.S. and touted the regime's desire to align itself with anti-American countries during his stay in Cuba. One senior congressional source who works on the issue said to the Washington Free Beacon that Iran is seeking to recruit potential terrorists who want to cause harm to the U.S., which is so true, where you see again, they say in the streets in Tehran, death to America. So they're getting ever so closely, not only building their nuclear bomb, but also you see reports like this where they're trying to put things in place so they can do more terrorist attack and invasion. Also, on a kind of more of a New World Order type of scenario and situation, this report came out of the Mirror website the other week, and it had this article about the chilling satanic human sacrifice video. Spooks scientists working at the world's largest accelerator at CERN. So the mysterious video that showed up, some got to see it online. I don't know if it's still up there or not. I haven't bothered looking at it. But this report talks about this video that was taking place there, where these researchers that were staging a chilling satanic human sacrifice ritual. So the footage shows a group of cloaked men gathering in a courtyard around the statue in the facility there in Geneva, Switzerland. But CERN declared that the video is fake and claims that the ritual was simply researchers and scientists coming to work at the facility, taking their sense of humor too far. So they're playing it as kind of a joke and as a prank. But the clip appears that there's at least 8 figures standing in the shadows before one man moves to the center of the group, and then moments later the woman wearing a white dress enters and kneels on the stone floor. The woman seems to be lying down on the ground before a man with the cloak approaches her with his hands raised above his head. And the viewers of the footage speculate the man is holding a knife, which appears to be plunged into the woman's chest before the clip suddenly stops. He also later added that it turns out the origin of the video posted for the sacrifice at CERN has been found to be the problem is that the man is now dead. Now, hoax or no hoax, let me remind you that we have seen this before, and we know that to expose this evil killed or made disappear. So the spokesman for CERN told Mirror website that this video is a work of fiction. CERN fills up with visitors over the summer, users from all over the world who come to CERN as a part of their work, and some occasionally let their sense of humor go too far. And that's what happened in this occasion. CERN does not condone this sort of spoof. Well, I think it's just a cover-up. The fact of the matter is, these are real situations that do happen, this is kind of, they're playing it out, they're acting it out, and they do this all the time, and they'll make fun of it, they'll laugh about it. But this is real stuff that does happen on a regular basis. On to a separate issue on dealing with technology. I had this report sent to me this morning, how out of Engadget.com, there is this Visa-powered payment ring is now available to everyone. So continue moving through the idea of having a cashless society. This is another pointed that indicator that Visa-based payment ring is no longer limited to athletes who made it to the Olympics in Rio, but anyone can now pre-order this type of ring that allows you to pay at any store terminals without pulling out your phone or twisting your wrist. Just plop down $53 and you can get one your size and expected to be delivered around December time. As with the Apple Watch, you don't need your phone once you've set it up. It uses these tokens to make payments all by itself. It's not flawless. Again, you have to hold it at a certain angle for the best results, but it's far more subtle than many existing payment methods. So it's interesting to continue to see the technology develop, whether it's the chip that's being implanted in people or a ring like this. Things are getting so close to moving toward this cashless society, which is pointing toward all part of this global one new world order. Also, what's going to continue to increase in these last days is the persecution of Christians. According to this report that came out of Christian Today, in China, that prayer and religion banned from Chinese hospitals. So hospitals in the eastern province of China have banned all kinds of religious activity, including receiving pastors, praying for the sick, and preaching in the latest crackdown on Christianity. According to Asia News, official Roman Catholic press agency, public hospitals have now been told that all forms of religious activity are banned. The particular hospital was told to post the notice on its walls, and nurses and other medical staff were told to inform patients and visitors. And what a hopeless situation that may be, but I believe the Lord's going to use this to continue to for people to step up, to be bold, to be courageous, to continue to pray for people, to encourage people, to minister to people in this way. You cannot silence the gospel. You cannot silence prayer for people. And so we need to be praying for the Lord to give wisdom and discernment to people in situations like this, that they would have the courage and boldness and whatever is needed there. Onto a moral issue, and you can see the depravity continuing all across the board in the school systems. According to Brett Bart report on Monday, university students, if you are a criminal, and this is the headline, you're a criminal if you don't use transgender approved language. According to West Virginia University, had told its 29,000 students that they're breaking federal law if they don't use the pronoun, including he, she, her, her, etc., preferred by each person who claims to be transgender. That policy means that if a biological man, for example, famous transgender athlete Bruce Jenner, if he identifies as his gender as a female, then all students must refer to the man as a she, or else they will be a lawbreaker. Though Western Virginia University was using the wrong pronouns says that using the wrong pronouns is a crime because the United States Department of Justice and of Education insists that transgender people are protected by decades of old sexual discrimination law. The new claim is imposed at the university statements that defines the rights of relatively few students who are confused about their gender identity. Because it is a list of rights, it doubles as a list of diversity commands for all normal students. For example, you have the right to be treated according to the gender you identify with. Your school cannot require you to provide legal or medical evidence in order for your gender to be respected. You have the right to be called by the name and pronouns consistent with your gender identity. Other things, you have the right to dress and present yourself in a way that is consistent with your gender identity as long as you follow the rules and how you dress that applies to all students. This includes how you dress at school every day as well as dances, graduations, and other school events. You have the right to use restrooms, locker rooms, and other facilities that are consistent with your gender identity, and you cannot be forced to use separate facilities. You have the right not to be harassed or discriminated against based on gender stereotypes, including stereotypes about sexual orientation. And as the Daily Caller notes that at the university, they offer a handy guide on proper pronoun usage and how to swap out pronouns such as he, him, or his for pronouns such as vi, ver, and viz. How lame is that? But we're seeing this thing's going so far. And then lastly, in Albuquerque, elementary school teachers are told to no longer address the students as boys and girls. This also came out on Monday out of Brett Bart. The teachers at Carlos Rey Elementary School in Albuquerque, New Mexico, are told that they can no longer address their students as boys and girls, according to this affiliate. This comes after the new transgender bathroom policy in Albuquerque's public schools, but is now leaking into the classrooms. So the letter was sent to teachers at Carlos Rey this month entitled Gender Identity Procedure Directive, and it tells teachers that they can no longer refer to their students as boys and girls, and they're to eliminate gender in their classrooms. Are you serious? Wow. But also, as a footnote, according to this article, the Albuquerque Public Schools says that there was a mistake by the assistant principal because nowhere in their transgender policy does it say not to call the students boys and girls. But either way, it's moving down this track. And it might be too simplistic, but either you are a male or you're a female, either you're a boy or you're a girl. Even if you're transgender, you're trying to fit into one of those two categories, even if you're pretending to be. Anyways, as we see on a daily basis, the intensity, the amount of news reports that is happening, all pointing to the signs of the times that we're living in. And it is exciting to be living in this time in history as we're seeing Bible prophecy. The things are coming so quickly together. The pieces of the puzzle, everything's lining up, coming to pass exactly as the Bible says. So, my friends, as we say on a daily, weekly basis, keep your eyes on Jesus, stay in the Word, and thank you for joining us for this midweek update. Until next time, may the Lord radically and outrageously bless you.